Mohenjo Daro. Just the sound of this word, like an echo from the distant past, transports us to a world of ancient mysteries, unsolved enigmas, and incredible hypotheses. This ancient city, whose ruins now rest in the territory of modern-day Pakistan, in the Sindh province, is one of the most significant, and at the same time, most mysterious archaeological sites, monuments of the world, a true cornerstone, a stumbling block for scientists. But today, our discussion will not be about its majestic, albeit half-ruined brick walls, nor about its amazingly well-thought-out, geometrically precise layout, nor about its complex water supply and sewage systems that astonish even modern engineers. We will talk about a theory so bold, so fantastic, that it is capable of overturning all our established notions about the past of humanity, its development, and its technologies. A theory that claims Mohenjo Daro, this thriving city of the ancient Indus civilization, was destroyed as a result of a nuclear explosion that occurred more than 3,500 years ago. Sounds incredible? Absurd. Like the plot of a science fiction novel or a disaster movie. Perhaps. But let's not rush to conclusions, and instead try to calmly and impartially delve into this fascinating and undoubtedly controversial topic. Mohenjo Daro, whose name, by the way, translates from Sindhi as Mound of the Dead, is one of the largest and best preserved cities of the ancient Indus civilization, or, as it is also known, the Harappan civilization. This civilization, one of the oldest on Earth, emerged and flourished in the Indus River Valley in the 3rd millennium BC, which is roughly the same time as the civilizations of ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia. The cities of the Indus civilization, such as Mohenjo Daro, Harappa, Lothal, Dholavira, and others, astonish modern researchers with their high level of development, meticulously planned out layout, the presence of complex engineering systems, public buildings, residential quarters, workshops, and even public toilets. But about 3,500 years ago, around the 18th century BC, this astonishingly prosperous civilization, for unknown reasons to this day, fell into decline, and its cities were abandoned by their inhabitants and gradually deteriorated, turning into ruins hidden under layers of sand and dust. The reasons for this decline, this sudden demise of an entire civilization, remain a subject of intense debate and discussion to this day among scientists, historians, archaeologists, climatologists, and here, against the backdrop of these unsolved mysteries and unclear reasons, the very shocking and incredible theory of a nuclear explosion that destroyed Mohenjo Daro emerges. Its proponents, and these are not only sensation seekers and supporters of alternative history, but also some quite serious researchers, point to a whole range of strange, anomalous features discovered during the excavations of this ancient city. Features that, in their opinion, cannot be explained by any natural causes, any traditional disasters such as earthquakes, floods, enemy invasions, or epidemics. Firstly, and this is perhaps the main argument of the theory's supporters, are the traces of a devastating, scorching fire that apparently engulfed the entire city, all its buildings and structures. But this was not just an ordinary fire caused by, say, an attack by enemy tribes, accidental ignition of wooden structures, or arson. This was a fire that, according to some researchers, reached incredibly high, simply unimaginable temperatures for that time, comparable to the temperatures that occur during a nuclear explosion, like that of an atomic bomb. As irrefutable evidence of this claim, as they see it, numerous pieces of clay, melted as if they were glass, are presented. Stone, brick, which are found in large quantities in the ruins. Mohenjo Daro. These pieces resembling a glassy mass or tektites in their structure, are formed under the influence of extremely high temperatures, over 1500 or even 2000 degrees Celsius. Reaching such temperatures in an ordinary fire, even the strongest and most extensive, is practically impossible. Even if we assume that all the wooden structures, all the fuel supplies, all the combustible materials in the city caught fire simultaneously. For this, a heat source is needed that is much more powerful, much more concentrated than ordinary fire. Moreover, proponents of the nuclear explosion theory pay special attention to the strange, unnatural positioning of human skeletons found during excavations. Mohenjo Daro. Many of these skeletons lie right on the city streets, in a variety of sometimes chaotic positions, as if people were caught by death suddenly, unexpectedly, in the midst of their everyday lives, their usual activities. There are no traces of violent death, no signs of battle, combat, or siege, no broken swords, no fractured skulls, no signs of injuries. People were simply walking, going about their business, talking, working, resting, and suddenly, in an instant, they died. This eerie scene is very reminiscent of the aftermath of a nuclear explosion where people instantly perish from the powerful shockwave, the blinding light radiation, the penetrating radiation, without even having time to understand what happened. Some researchers, though not all, also mention an elevated level of radiation that was allegedly detected in certain areas of Mohenjo Daro, in places with the highest concentration of melted materials and skeletons. However, these data, these measurements, have not been confirmed. They have not been recognized by official science, not published in peer-reviewed scientific journals, and raise many questions and doubts among the majority of scientists. It is believed that these measurements, if they were conducted at all, could have been erroneous, or the elevated level of radiation could have been caused by some natural reasons, such as the presence of radioactive elements in the soil. And finally, perhaps the most intriguing and controversial argument of the proponents of the theory of a nuclear explosion in antiquity. These are references to the ancient Indian epic in Mahabharata, 1, of the greatest literary works of the ancient world. In the Mahabharata, which describes events that allegedly took place several thousand years ago, battles are repeatedly mentioned involving some mysterious, super-powerful weapon of the gods, possessing incredible, destructive power. This weapon, according to the descriptions, causes a blinding flash of light, brighter than 1,000 suns. It generates a fiery whirlwind, incinerating everything living over a vast area, causing terrible storms and earthquakes, as well as diseases, very similar in their symptoms to radiation sickness, hair loss, bleeding, skin ulcers, and agonizing death. Coincidence? A random resemblance? Or are the ancient texts, ancient myths, and legends indeed describe a real nuclear war that took place on Earth thousands of years ago? A war that, possibly, destroyed not only Mohenjo Daro, but also other cities and civilizations of antiquity. Of course, official science, the overwhelming majority of scientists, archaeologists, historians, and physicists are extremely skeptical of this theory, considering it unscientific and speculative, having no serious basis whatsoever. Archaeologists and historians offer other, much more plausible, much more logical explanations for the demise of Mohenjo Daro and the decline of the entire Indus civilization. These could have been gradual but irreversible climate changes, droughts, floods, soil depletion, epidemics of deadly diseases, invasions by hostile tribes, internal conflicts, social upheavals, or an economic crisis. Any of these reasons, or a combination of them, could have led to the decline and fall of the civilization. Melted pieces of clay, stone, and brick which proponents of the nuclear explosion theory consider irrefutable proof of their correctness, according to scientists, could very well have formed as a result of ordinary, albeit very intense fires, which under certain conditions, such as the presence of a large amount of fuel, strong winds, or a particular composition of clay, could reach sufficiently high temperatures capable of melting some materials. And the skeletons lying right on the city streets could belong to victims of a sudden epidemic, such as the plague, or cholera, or to victims of a sudden flood, earthquake, or another natural disaster that caught people by surprise. As for the ancient Indian epic Mahabharata, it is primarily an epic, poetic work, not a historical chronicle, or a documentary account of real events. And the descriptions of the gods' weapons found in this epic are most likely artistic exaggerations, metaphors, allegories, hyperboles, and not literal, exact description of nuclear weapons and their use. Nevertheless, despite all the criticism, despite all the objections from official science, the theory of a nuclear explosion in Mohenjo Daro continues to live on, continues to stir minds, and continues to attract the attention not only of sensation seekers, but also of quite serious researchers. It makes us ponder how well we actually know our own past, our history, about what secrets and mysteries ancient ruins, ancient texts, ancient legends might conceal, and about the possibility that the history of humanity was much more dramatic, much more complex, and much more technologically advanced than we are accustomed to thinking, than we were taught in school. Whether to believe in this incredible theory, to accept it or reject it, is, of course, up to you, our viewers. But agree, the very possibility that thousands of years ago, in ancient times, a nuclear catastrophe could have occurred on Earth, even if only locally, makes us look at the modern world and the fragility of our civilization in a new light. The danger inherent in the uncontrolled use of destructive technologies, the responsibility we bear towards future generations. Thank you for joining us on this fascinating and we hope informative journey to the ruins. Mohenjo Daro, to unravel one of the most incredible, most controversial, and most intriguing mysteries of antiquity. If you enjoyed this video, if you learned something new, if you pondered the eternal questions about the past, present, and future of humanity, don't forget to like, leave your comment, share your thoughts, your impressions, your theories. Do you believe that Mohenjo Daro was destroyed by a nuclear explosion? Or do you consider this theory absurd and unscientific? And, of course, subscribe to our channel so you don't miss new investigations, new journeys into the world of history's mysteries and enigmas, new discoveries and hypotheses. Share this video with friends, discuss, debate, because, as it is known, truth is born in argument, and truth is always somewhere nearby. You just need to know how to look for it. Until next time.